This episode brought to you by Alien Cold Storage. Alien Cold Storage is Antarctica's premier warehouse of xenomorphs, esogians, alfs, or things. Whether you need to keep your alien fresh for a month or 100,000 years, Alien Cold Storage has you covered. Go to aliencoldstorage.com and use code HMT at checkout to receive a free box of hand warmers. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
I just took a stroll through the scraggly woods. He had no face! Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it. New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. Hello. Welcome to Horror Movie Talk. My name is Bryce Hanson. I hold a PhD in spookology. And my friend across from me is Professor David Day. He's the foremost expert in scare no-nos. That's right. I said it for you. You can't say it the way you say it.
Hey, wait.
Because I'm in charge.
Oh.
Also with us, we have a special guest.
Ooh.
Justin.
What's my degree in?
You're an idiot.
Hey, that's not in the script.
Can we say your last name?
I don't know.
We don't have
Shit.
to.
What if people try to find me?
Well, they'd be able to.
Should I be worried?
No,
okay.
I don't think so.
Well, then yeah, say my last name.
His last name is Murphy.
Oh, there it is.
I had
All
a
right.
dog named Murphy when I was
Everyone's like, who's that guy?
Justin Murphy.
So today is a long-awaited episode.
Yeah. I'm surprised we've gone almost 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, this is
God, has it been 3 years?
like your top five.
Oh,
isn't it?
this is quite possibly number one.
Right.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about 1982's The Thing. End of title.
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter's The Thing.
Jesus Christ.
The
Old
original
JC.
remake. Okay, so today we have a couple things to talk about. First of all, we want to tell you about our website, horrormovietalk.com. Check that out. It's got links to everything, especially to our Facebook group, where we have the best group of podcast fans in the world.
It is really good.
And great discussions about horror, so check it out at facebook.com/group/horror movie talk, probably. I don't know. Just search it. You'll find it.
You guys have a great Facebook group. Like, it's amazing, the community that you guys have built.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
We try and tell people about it, and they don't believe us.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
it's actually good.
it grows real fast, though. It seems like we're putting on a head of steam on growth there. So
Yeah.
get in early because you got to get those little titles. You know, if you do certain shit in there for long enough, it's like, this guy's a conversation starter. This guy's a storyteller. So
Since today is, as of the release, it's going to be the 31st, which is the last day you can enter to the One Titty Challenge.
That's right. Hashtag one titty HMT. You take a picture of your gussied up boobie. You get your lawnmower 3.0 in the picture with the, and then you post it on that Facebook group we just mentioned with the hashtag one titty HMT, and you're entered to win a Google Home Mini and a bunch of as many stickers as I can throw at you. This is only for United States citizens. Just FYI.
And you honestly don't have a lot of competition. So it behooves you to enter.
Last day.
Last day, today. If you haven't gotten your Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0, you're fucked.
Right.
You can't enter.
Right.
After
And,
today.
yeah. The other thing you should consider following us on is our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Horror Movie Talk. I'll be streaming tonight. It's Saturday night. I'm going to try and do it on Saturday nights. Had a bunch of people show up last time. It was great. It was a fun time. And now people are like, when are you doing that thing again? So
yeah,
fun.
I'm going to have to get in on that.
Yeah, it's a blast. The one thing is, You got to be even better at improv than you are right now.
Right.
I didn't realize how much dead time you have to fill. It's all the time.
Right.
You just blah, 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 blah. So.
See, if I were to do it, though, like, I'm not sure, like, it'd be that interesting to our fans to watch me play Civilization 6.
Yeah, it helps to be horror themed,
you know,
with a horror movie talk account.
Okay, and what else? We got second Saturday watch parties. That's going to be coming up every second Saturday of the month. We watch a movie and have a chat while we do it. We post new episodes every Wednesday, so please subscribe. Ring that bell. You know, all the things that you do. And if you want to leave us a voicemail, call us at 682-253-4468.
Listen, I cannot understand you!
Make sure you enunciate into your phone. If I cannot understand you, then...
If you don't shut your fucking mouth, I will kill you.
Kill you.
That escalated.
So, again, to reiterate, we're talking about The Thing today. John Carpenter's The Thing. We'll start out by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge, where it makes you angry that you watched it, 5 being an average film that hits all the expected marks, and 10 being so good it transcends genre boundaries. We just need to make sure that we explain the scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah. It's
very confusing to people.
I feel like...
And we just can't overlook that part.
I feel like some early listeners, autismos, got a hold of our ears real early on, and they were like, "What does 1 to 10 mean? Explain it to me." Because, well, and to be fair, 5 does seem harsh, but in reality, it just means a C.
Right.
A C. It's an average movie.
Right. After we give our score for the movie, we're going to get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. That's like where all the sweetness happens. That's where the magic happens in the podcast world. Later on, we have 2 bits. Don't blank on the blank. Bringing back that old chestnut.
I barely remember what that's about.
And we'll be checking our voicemail with a bit we call Horror Movie Whores. So, without further ado, let's get into the review. We watched The Thing, and it was the thingiest thing that ever thinged.
Sure was.
Here's the trailer.
Station 31. You read me? Found something in the ice. We need some help down here. Can anybody hear me? We found something. Found something. We found something.
12 men have just discovered something. For 100,000 years, it was buried in the snow and ice. Now it has found a place to live. Inside. Where no one can see it, or hear it, or feel it.
I know I'm human. Some of you are still human. This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to, but it's vulnerable out in the open. If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies. Nobody left to kill it. And then it's won.
You guys gonna listen to Gary? He can beat one of those things!
There's something in the snow. Something. So the thing takes place the thing can be found to rent or purchase on most digital platforms.
Yeah.
In Antarctica.
Yeah, it's not
streaming
It's
anywhere
not streaming
right now.
free anywhere.
Yeah. The Thing takes place in an Antarctic research station where they're studying snow or something. Their sleepy routine is broken.
What are they studying?
Yeah, what are they studying?
I don't know.
Radio signals.
They're fully outfitted. Yeah. I mean, they got all the booze you could need. They even have a police officer.
Pinball machine?
A pinball machine.
Chess machine?
They got a nice happy hour scene.
Pool
table.
Yeah. So who...
Dogs.
Karaoke,
Tons of dogs.
Lots of dogs.
Who do you think is going to research snow?
People who fucking know how to party. That's
right. Shit tons of whiskey. Like, where did they get
lots
all that
of
whiskey?
weed.
Wait, so, like, how did they get all that whiskey there? Like, they fly it in, just cases upon cases of like, how did they get all that? How did they get the pinball machine in there?
It's all it's just like, remember when you moved out as a kid? And you had like a box mattress on the floor and a chair, like a folding chair, and you're like, how do old people have so much stuff? And then 4 years later, you're like, where'd all this fucking stuff come from?
Yeah.
It just appears.
Just like that, right?
Yeah.
It just happens organically in the Antarctic. You just go on the Antarctic Craigslist.
Same thing.
What if the research station was just filled with things that were? It's like the pinball machine. It's just like was an alien thing that showed up. No one asked any questions because they're like, "Hey, pinball."
Hey, pinball. Oh, I got a free play.
Maybe
this thing gives them away. Free plays.
They don't ask a lot of questions in this movie, though.
Yeah,
a lot of manly stoicism going on.
Yeah, but shut up.
Okay, so their sleepy routine is broken when a dog with shifty eyes appears while being chased by crazed Norwegians with guns in a helicopter.
I wonder how Magnus feels about these Norwegians.
I know.
Being a Swedish person, he probably had... I mean, if he's anything like us over here, he's got like a little jovial thing going, like, you fucking flappy-headed Nords,
It turns out that the dog with shifty eyes is some sort of evil thing. When the researchers discover that the dog has turned into a tentacle monster, they start to become suspicious. The thing turns out to be an alien that can imitate any animal or man exactly.
Well, not exactly.
Still
just an imitation.
Learn to imitate you exactly.
So when the researchers can't identify which one of them is human or thing, everyone, as Gen Z says, becomes sus.
Oh, God.
This is the original Among Us.
I was actually going to ask if that's where this comes from, because it seems really similar.
It's very,
I guess the original thing is the original Among Us, the 50s one. And this is...
Not really, actually.
The Body Snatchers.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I went into this thinking, great, another remake. What was wrong with the 1951 original?
I don't know.
Well, this one won me over. No, this one's The Thing. I mean, this is The Thing.
Yeah.
It's like the one everyone knows.
I mean, my mom does that. My mom does that annoying thing where you're like, we're gonna watch The Thing, and she's like, oh, the one that's a good one from the 1950s. And I'm like, no, Mom, no, that's not the one at all. She's like, what, the new one? I was like, well, no, not that one either. There's a middle one.
So I got a lot to talk about in the spoilers because this is probably the most well-researched episode in that I put forth effort.
Wow.
And I read the source material.
Look at you. You read the book?
Yeah, it's a novella. It's not that long. It's like 70 pages.
That's really long.
I watched the 1951 The Thing from Another World.
Whoa.
Wow.
Watched this movie, and then I'm about like an hour into the prequel from 2011.
I assume you're starting some new podcast. Are you leaving me? What's happening?
We have things to say.
Are you leaving me? Are you trying to say that you're better than me? Is that what's happening?
I'm not the one starting new podcasts around here.
Hey, whoa.
With listeners. So
listeners, I don't know what you're talking about.
So is the 50s thing like related to this?
We'll talk about it in the spoilers.
Okay.
I've got a section just to talk about my findings. So, I mean, this is the thing. It's a tentpole horror movie genre movie. It stands as one of the best practical effects horror films of the 80s, which is saying a lot. And the story itself has tension baked in, and John Carpenter sucks every drop of tension out of it. The character development is pretty thin in this, and you might disagree with me, but it kind of reminds me of Alien, to where it's just a group of people. There's kind of an attitude around it. There's an atmosphere, but you don't really know anything about these characters' motivations or where they came from or why they're there, other than job titles, maybe.
Yeah, they're kind of convenient stereotypes,
Right.
and that's the development for the characters. And that's kind of enough.
Yeah, but you end up rooting for Kurt Russell to win because he's Kurt Russell. Right. Overall, the cast is great and the acting is excellent. The two main characters, though, are the Snow and the Thing. The Thing is one of the best monsters in horror and lends itself to unlimited creativity when it comes to horrific appearances. The practical effects and puppetry are the things of a hentai addict's wet dream. It is really disturbing and surreal whenever the Thing attacks or goes through a transformation. Again, it's one of the temples of the genre, and it's a must-watch for any horror fan. I mean, I'd be remiss giving it anything other than a 10 out of 10.
I mean, this is such an undeniable movie in every way. Like, every aspect of this movie hits the mark. It says something when, okay, so this is probably my favorite horror movie of all time.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. When we ask people, we ask like any new followers usually if we get to them, like what their favorite horror movie is, and
give me your top 3. And the thing
is like a good third of them.
Yeah. It's the most mentioned movie for sure. And I mean, every aspect of this film is great. The score is just so unsettling, and it says something when I can. Okay, every time, this is the weirdest part of this movie is I kind of like, I go a year or so and I haven't watched it in a bit, and I'm like, so for some reason I go, well, I guess it's on or whatever. For whatever reason I start watching it again, and at the start of the movie I'm kind of like, I've seen this 1,000. What can it have? What can it have for me? But I'm alarmed. I got alarmed watching this movie. In fact, I was more shook at the start of this movie this time, for reasons I'll go into in spoilers, than I have been in a long, long time. And it's just an undeniable classic. It's just an unbelievably well-made movie.
It's so good, isn't it?
What do you think? Yeah, this is a 10 out of 10, obviously. This is one of the best movies ever made.
Justin, it sucks.
No. I really liked it. Yeah, I actually wrote down 8 out of 10 because I was also measuring. I was trying to think. I was being a little more critical. I was actually trying to find criticisms last night because, like we mentioned earlier, I literally watched this last weekend.
I'm glad you have criticisms for it,
but they're, I mean, really small. But there's a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of things that I noticed on this time. I was actively taking notes. I was pausing the video like every 5 minutes, like jotting down something I noticed. Just because I enjoyed it so much last weekend. This weekend I was like, this is like a fun opportunity. Or how often do you watch movies back to back in a weekend? And I was like, this will be a fun opportunity.
So you had just without any previous knowledge that you were going to be on this show, you had watched this last weekend.
Yeah. Me and a buddy had a movie night last weekend. We did The Thing and Men in Black.
Okay, and so now you watched it a second time.
And then I watched it last night. Yeah. And was taking notes. But still, I mean, even with the criticisms, just what an amazing movie. And I didn't realize actually until I was thinking about it last night. I think this might be like one of the first horror movies that I actually saw in my adult life. And as we've talked about before, I was never really a fan of horror. But I think I saw this in my early 20s for the first time, just like on television, like at like a Christmas family gathering. After dinner, everyone like goes and does their own thing, right? And I was like with my cousin, and he just threw it on the television. I was like, oh, what's this? And it's like, oh, this is The Thing. Like that movie, it looked dumb, like, and then we're watching. I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like,
yeah.
Whoa. This is kind of the first, I saw Alien when I was a kid, but that was then like Jurassic Park, was like the closest I'd ever really got. But I think this was like the true first, introduction to that genre. And then I didn't watch another horror movie for like 10 years.
If one will do it to you, this is it. Get that mic, or get right up on that mic, by the way. Like, pull that thing closer.
Right up on that mic. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievably undeniable movie. I have nothing more to say than that.
What score do you give it? Oh, you already said 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, but that was with like kind of looking at the, some of the production quality. I mean, from the ages, it's so hard, right? Lighting, video quality, some of those things just don't really hold up as well. But I mean, it's, looking at it for what it is, obviously it's a 10 out of 10, right? I mean, it's hard to deny that, but.
Well, you know what holds up really well? Shirts from Night Channels.
I'm wearing one right now.
Yeah, I know. Nightchannels.com is one of our sponsors, and they have some of the coolest tees and hoodies that you could find on the internet.
Describe my shirt.
It's a Tremors shirt.
Yeah.
It's like the poster of the Tremors.
Right. It's got the tremor coming up from below and getting ready to eat the words Tremors.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's really cool. It's black and white. It's kind of has that gritty sort of like staticky vibe, kind of like an Alien shirt you might expect.
Yeah, you got to go. I mean, honestly, what we've been telling people is you just have to go and browse nightchannels.com. They have like really obscure horror movies represented there, as well as, occult and metal and like alternative music shirts, the whole spectrum. And why don't you call out some of these?
Yeah, and if you enter HMT at checkout, you get 13% off, and they'll send you a little slip for even more off on your next purchase. I think 15% off. So here they got a Sallow shirt. That's the unwatchable, the first original unwatchable movie, quote unquote. They got Terminator 2, Altered States, Blade Runner, and all of these are really cool one-off designs that you've never seen before. Return of the Living Dead. They got the Tar zombie. I forget his name. Friday the 13th, 8-bit. The Wicker Man, Scanners, The Shining, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Rosemary's Baby, The Predator, Dune. They got a guinea pig shirt. I watched Guinea Pig 2, Flower of Flesh and Blood the other day. And it is alarming. It's just a snuff film.
Okay.
It's just a guy killing someone and dismembering her. And
sounds delightful.
Yeah, well, they have the original guinea pig, which I haven't seen yet, but it's on my list. So
honestly, I mean, we could go on forever listing out these shirts, but I mean, you'll come across something that you're like, I can't believe they made a shirt out of that.
Yeah.
So go browse nightchannels.com. When you inevitably choose to buy a shirt or hoodie, use code HMT at checkout for 13% off your first order. The scariest percentage. Also, sponsor of the month and the origin of the One Titty Challenge, we have Manscaped.com.
Baby.
You know what? Don't you hate cutting your nuts?
Oh my God.
Jesus.
I hate it so much I've never done it. Because I bought Manscaped to avoid that.
Well, you can imagine the screams that you'd make if you cut your balls. Those are the screams that I used to make when I would cut myself shaving before I knew about Manscaped. Wow. You need to try this out for yourself. The Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0 has been beautifully designed to reduce those painful nicks and tugs. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code HMT at checkout at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use code HMT. Always use the right tools for your tool.
That sounds like a really good deal.
Did you you manscape up your nuts there, Justin?
Not my nuts, but I do manscape my back hair.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually, before I even knew that I was going to be plugging this product for you, I'd already bought it, and I use Manscaped for my back hair. Makes it so my wife doesn't have to trim it. I mean, she would anyways because she loves me, but why put your spouse through that?
If she loved you, wouldn't she accept you and your back hair and all?
Well, she does accept it, but she doesn't want to be near it.
Do you like your back hair?
I've never met it. It's hard to see. It's kind of back there.
It is on your back.
My back hair is back there.
My wife just enjoys running her fingers through it.
Okay. Now I see why we're shaving our back hair. I'm a hairless guy in the back. Most of the body
is fascinating to me. I just can't. I almost want you to take your shirt off to prove it.
It's all up top. I take my shirt off on this show all the time. Well, you watch out.
Why not now?
Well, it's a little early, and I don't like being prompted. Frankly, it's a little creepy. This is the way to get me to stop taking my shirt off, Bryce.
Maybe that's what I wanted.
Okay, now take your shirt off. Take it off.
Okay.
Let me see those titties.
I don't want it.
So anyways.
Manscaped.com.
Manscaped.com.
HMT at checkout gets you 20% off and free shipping. Oh my God.
Okay. Alrighty. Also, we have to plug our Patreon. So we've been paying some much needed attention to our Patreon, and we want you to check it out. We got several new tiers, ones that you're not going to get, like absolutely, unless you're Elon Musk or something, and a huge fan of horror movies.
Yeah.
Which I think he is.
Probably.
But also, tiers at every level and every involvement that you like. We got tiers where you can get a t-shirt, the logo tee. We got stuff where you can vote on movies that we review. This is one of them. This is a patron selection.
Yeah, they chose this for us. Thank God. Sometimes they do terrible things to us. Make us watch rats and bats.
Rats.
And what else we got? Oh, yeah. The most important thing, the most enjoyable thing for our patrons is we have a whole separate podcast called the After Pod, where we leave the mics running and just shoot the shit. And so if you actually like us, you get more of us.
How is that different than what we're doing now?
You know what? Shut the fuck up.
Oh, okay. All right. There.
On the Afterpod that we will record with Justin today, I'm going to ask a question of all of us, which is, what is the thing you miss most about not COVID time? What was the thing you liked doing that you haven't been able to do, and now we're getting closer and closer to being able to do it? Don't answer.
Oh, okay.
Don't answer.
Public masturbation.
I said don't answer.
Wait,
Oh,
that
sorry.
would be easier to do now, I think, because there's less people in public.
That takes
It's less enjoyable.
the
though.
steam out of his
that's
sails.
true. Okay, I see.
Takes the wind out of his sails.
Well, clearly, I'm just missing the opportunity here.
And if you're listening to these commercials, you don't have to if you subscribe to our Patreon at the $6.66 tier, blah, 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 blah.
Is this still a commercial?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's still a commercial.
Manscaped.com, ladies and gentlemen.
We're still not
Patreon.
Manscaped.
Oh, Patreon.com.
We moved on.
Also, if you want to support us, we have a shop where you can just buy the t-shirts or stickers that we offer on our website at horrormovietalk.com. Just click on the shop button.
I don't know how you guys got Dustin to do artwork for you, but holy shit, that
Right?
dude is talented as balls.
Yeah.
He's
Cleanly
unbelievable.
shaven Manscaped balls. That's how talented he is.
Yeah. Well, he's got a Teflon dick. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that. No, I didn't.
He fucks hard, and
Wow.
he fucks for us.
Yeah.
And
does.
you should check him out on Instagram at dgoebel00. That's at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram. And he takes commission, so he can work for you at, frankly, too reasonable of prices. Like, he's
it's
really underselling
His
himself.
artwork is so amazing. Oh my god, those stickers that you guys sell are fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
good.
So, last thing,
Buy stickers.
if you want to call our voicemail, which you might hear yourself on an episode, like the people in the bit later in the show, call 682-253-4468. Thanks again.
Wait, but also, I have an important announcement that only those of you who are still listening will hear. I've created a new voicemail line that is called the Bodily Fluids Exchange. As you can guess, this is strictly for, your bodily fluids. So any sort of bodily fluid sounds you want to share with us,
Okay.
that's what it's for. I can't. Give me a moment to find the number here. So if you call 252-228-4628, you will get a hold of us at the Bodily Fluids Exchange, and hopefully your bodily fluid will be featured on a bit.
Can you elaborate, like exchanging, like should I be making out with someone?
Hey, it's up to you.
Or should I be peeing in a toilet? Or should I be farting? or
Wow,
burping?
Yeah, what are you exchanging
what are
with?
we
Does it have to
exchanging?
be exchanged with another person?
Yeah, or like an object?
Can it be
You guys are going way farther with this than I ever.
Well, I'm just trying to get an
dreamed.
idea here. Like, give me some
exchange
examples.
into a Kleenex?
We accept all of those things.
All of them.
All
and
of
more.
them. Bodily fluids.
All bodily fluids. Okay.
Okay.
This is a horror movie thing.
I want to hear Brad Kerrigan peeing into a Mountain Dew bottle. That's my request.
Well, I mean that may be a
You
little.
just have to follow him around long enough, really.
I got one call already, and it's pretty thick.
All right, so thanks again for listening. Let's get into spoilers. Spoilers. Okay, so we got a lot to talk about. So, first of all, did you realize that the soundtrack wasn't by John Carpenter?
I don't know exactly what you mean. Is the soundtrack normally done by the director?
Well, John Carpenter usually does his soundtracks.
I guess he did do the Halloween soundtrack, didn't he?
Yeah, he does a lot of them. So, like, the main theme, I thought that would have been totally John Carpenter. Well, I saw that Ennio Morricone was the, the composer or whatever for the soundtrack. But I figured that he probably didn't do the theme. That I would assume that John Carpenter did it because it's so Carpenterian.
Womp womp.
I don't feel like it gets enough love. I feel because it sets the vibe so heavily. It's so overpowering kind of. It's
really impressive, and it's a testament to Ennio Morricone that like he matched the aesthetic of John Carpenter really so well that it's like, oh, that isn't Carpenter. It's just the only thing that tips you off that it's not Carpenter is that it's much better in terms of like orchestration throughout. It's not just like a single note on a synthesizer the entire time.
There's more to it.
There's more to it.
I was hoping you would know. Is it mostly like clarinet themes? I mean, like what is the wood instrument that is kind of the main sort of melody? Because it's very minimalist, but I was curious if you knew what the specific instrument was.
I don't know. I don't recall.
Do you think I'm close to the mark? I mean, is it like some kind of wood?
The main theme it still was a synthesizer for like the main theme, but
there's some sort of like haunting wood instrument that plays like throughout the movie, like with the like womp womp in the background.
I couldn't tell you.
Now I need to know.
But yeah,
I'll look
if
it up
it sounded like a clarinet, it's a clarinet.
I don't fucking know what a clarinet sounds like. That's a lie. I do.
What's the? I mean, Ennio Morricone is like a legend. I don't know if you know the other soundtracks that he did.
What else has he done,
David?
I don't know who that is.
So he was the one that did the good, the bad, and the ugly, like original spaghetti western soundtrack, basically.
It's a great movie.
Is that wah wah wah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So tons of westerns. He did the soundtrack for The Hateful Eight.
Oh.
The Untouchables. Lots of, just a ton of movies. He's a big dude. Okay, so like I said, I researched this movie thoroughly this time. So it's based off a novella called Who Goes There by John W. Campbell. It's not the first movie that adapted it. The first one was the 1951 The Thing from Another World. And this movie follows the novella a lot more. Like, I think the 1951 version wanted to, but it had such a low budget. Like, if it was calculated into today's dollars, it was something like a $100,000 budget or something like that.
Really?
Like, not that much.
Oh wait, this is the original.
The original.
Okay. So, I was gonna say no.
In that one,
they lied.
There was an alien craft and an alien in the ice, but instead of an alien that imitates people exactly,
learn to imitate you exactly.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
That's from The Simpsons. Don't you remember? That's Treehouse of Horror 7, where they shrink Lisa down into the petri dish.
Oh.
We've watched you since the dawn of time, and we've learned to imitate you exactly.
That's probably the one I've seen the fewest times.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that's the one with Hugo in it.
I typically avoid the Treehouse of Horrors because I feel like they got fucked out for me. I watched them so much early on that now I'm like, when I go back through and watch them, I'm like, oh, it's a Treehouse of Horror.
Well, yeah, this is like season 8 though, so it's not quite fucked out. It's probably getting there, but anyways, so instead of that in the original movie, the no shit, the monster is a vegetable.
The Happening.
They make a
The original The Happening.
They go to great pains to explain, like, so it's like a giant evil carrot. Yes, exactly.
Right.
But he just looks like
my God!
it basically looks like a low rent Frankenstein.
Okay.
And it's just a monster, and that's it. And it can grow, like you can use it to, propagate other plants of its own kind. But that was the monster in the 1951. So, and it's very like 1951-ish. It's like
If you spray it with water, does it make it grow real large? Oh my gosh, it's dripping funny smelling water all over me.
it's like actually a really influential movie. A lot of horror directors talk about, or just directors talk about how that's like was a very impactful horror movie when they were younger. But you watch it and it's like these 50s movies where it's like, okay, this is kind of dumb. They're talking over, it's quick talking, talking over each other, generic scientist beakers, evil scientist. And then the main thing was the tone was so different because it was like it's almost like White Christmas horror movie. Like the cast is just basically a bunch of war veterans. So it's like everyone just returned from World War II and like, hey, Captain, remember when we were beating Nazis? Well, let's go out in the snow. So, I mean, that's basically the feel of that movie.
Is it set in Antarctica?
No, it's set in the Arctic Circle. So it's actually set in the North Pole.
Oh, okay.
And it starts out in Anchorage. So,
okay.
Yeah, a little bit different. But some of the stuff was the same. So, like, the alien crash, like how they treated the alien crash, they like inadvertently blow it up, bringing back the alien in a block of ice. And I think the attempt to that's kind of where it ends.
It's a weird time, the 50s, for horror movies, because it was like monster movie, and just like throw shit at the walls and see what works. Like, maybe vegetables are scary. I don't know. Kids don't like vegetables, and those are the people who are coming to see the movie. So make it a vegetable. And it's like, okay. Like, they were just seeing what worked because no one had a real strong grip on the terror that things can cause. So it's a weird concept now, 70 years later. But back then, I mean, I'm sure it was influential on a lot of these directors. Are like, oh, fucking vegetables, Jesus Christ.
The novella was like really close to this movie. The movie takes a couple liberties in terms of like the setup for it, but like all the pieces are there. The novella is really like a Lovecraftian H.G. Wells hybrid. It's very much like, scientists in the snow finding a mysterious entity.
Yeah.
There's a lot more descriptions of like the monster itself, and it made a little more sense like how the monster acted in the novella.
I would love to know that. Can you please explain that?
So,
because there's the motivations are a little unclear.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. That's one of my notes. Was like the monster doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason.
Nope.
Like when it's
no rhyme or reason
changing.
It's definitely one of my criticisms.
Procreate.
It's like
stealthily,
except it's like
but
okay,
not consistently.
Yeah. So in the novella, they find it in the ice, and it's like this weird alien creature, like with like tentacles and all this, and like red eyes and blue skin and stuff. And they're like studying it, and then all of a sudden, like it comes alive and basically is attacked by the dogs in the place, and it kind of skips forward, and you get the feeling that the fallout of that is like, what just happened? Because they describe it kind of changing form and changing into a dog. And so they're like, well, we don't even know if the form that we saw it in the ice was its actual form, because obviously it can change. And it picked like the most, like the best predator available in its repertoire, I guess.
Okay. I guess that would make sense.
Yeah.
And so like, none of the transformations or anything are really seen in the novella. It's more like they figure out what's happening, and then sometimes they find it like midstream, like when it's in between transitions, and that's when they attack it, and it's
like,
not
I
quite
had a
fully
sock
formed.
on the door. Leave me alone.
You're making a lot of noise in there. It sounds like you're being ripped apart.
It leans much more
Stop
heavily,
it, Mom!
much more heavily on like alien monster. So it probably looked a lot more like an actual alien monster other than just random like, wacky Mad Libs practical effects.
Does it also explain whether or not it's just one coherent monster or whether it's like multiple individual celled monsters?
It goes into detail. Like that's where it's really interesting, and that's what actually helped with the film. Like knowing how the novella explained what this alien was, it makes the movie make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I wonder. You're actually making me really want to read this.
It's they describe it as the alien can split, like even if it's like one cell, it can survive, and it has a mind of its own. And what happens is it consumes the thing. So like it will consume the dog and then replace all of its cells with its own cells in a perfect imitation to where you can't distinguish whether they're dog cells or alien cells.
Okay,
and then there not only is like the dog exists now, but the original like mass of the alien still exists too.
Wait, the dog still exists?
The dog is an imitation. So like it created. It basically procreated by consuming and imitating the dog.
So I think we all had this concern while watching the 1982 John Carpenter's The Thing, which is, how exactly is this working? What is there a body left over, or is it attacking the thing on a cellular level and like taking over all the cells and just becoming a replica of it? And the answer is that second one. It's consuming the organism and basically taking over all of its cells and kind of becoming like hopping into its body almost.
Right.
Okay, that's the answer.
Yeah, so like when we see it in the film, it looks like it's midway through like creating the new like copy.
Yeah.
Basically. And that's kind of like where the tension is because you don't know how many of the thing there are. There could be multiple.
In the movie, it's several times you're like, okay, so now there's two.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe there's a third. There's like a question mark on a third, like out there.
So does that mean it only takes like a drop, like? Because there's sort of these various ways that they escalate the tension in the movie. Like at first it starts out with, it attacks the dogs. We're in spoilers, right?
Yeah.
So it like attacks the dogs. So then, it's like, okay, did it attack the dogs because it was threatened? Or did it attack the dogs because it's trying to take them over?
I think in the movie it was to take them over.
Okay, because it seemed like a really like bad way to do it if it's trying to be on the DL.
Yeah. Especially when you see later in the film, like, how subtly it can take him over.
Right.
Like, what is it? When Blair reaches out and like grabs the guy's face and his fingers go in his face.
Oh, it was so
Society.
gnarly. Oh man,
it was very like Society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he could just do that. You don't have to turn into like a Lovecraftian goblin monster.
Which begs the question: what was the motivation there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely the motivation for that is they spent a lot of money on practical effects and they wanted to show it off.
I think the only way that scene makes sense in keeping with the motivations of the character of the thing is if it felt threatened. Which on this last rewatch, I noticed that the dogs do start barking at it, and then it like freaks out.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's not the case. I really wonder like what the hell.
Well, it's not. I don't suppose this thing to be terribly like this is a totally different organism, right?
It can fly a fucking spaceship.
Yeah, it can. It's got. But also it's different than anything you've ever experienced, and its motivations can not be known.
That's right.
But not only that, it is fucking so alarming to see dogs that are scared, really actually scared, being filmed. And when they get shot with that goop, That one dog that gets goop
he
shot,
doesn't like that.
he's like, oh, God,
Yeah.
I'll tell you-
why?
I'll
Like,
tell
that
you
dog
what.
looks so upset.
It's true.
I hope he got a nice green pasture and just got to retire and be a good boy after that. Because, when they're shooting them with that goop, he's like, oh, God, please don't shoot me with the goop.
Talking about
Hey,
like
look
that
at that thing. It's so fucking scary.
So I watched this last night, and my viewing companion was Meg, my dog. She did not like this movie. She, like, the first half of it features, a dog being chased down, being shot at.
Yeah.
And then, a bunch of dogs being mutilated by
Meg's like, oh, God, he's got a grenade.
Yeah, throw the... All right, when are we going to discuss... I've been waiting this whole time to discuss how bad of a shot the Norwegians are. Can we talk about that for a
Right
second?
after this.
Okay.
Hold on to that.
All right.
Before we get any further, I would like to thank our new patrons. We always forget to do this, but I'm going to take a moment.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, new patrons that we have to thank. Thank you so much, and I'm going to rename a couple of people just to make sure we get everybody a couple of times. We got Jay Deasy, thank you. Anita P., Jordan W., Ryan C., Sam L., Shannon M., and Clyde M. Thank you guys all so much. If you ever want to talk, want to chat, hit us up on the messaging service on Patreon, and we'll have a little sit down, a little powwow about horror movies. Thank you guys for supporting us. We sure do appreciate it.
Lastly, the last thing about the novella, there are several names that were taken from the novella too. So McCready is from the original source material. Dr. Copper, Gary, and Blair are all in and they're pretty similar characters, especially Blair. He's the one that goes crazy.
Okay.
He's a diabetes man.
Diabetes.
And then it's weird because I watched The Thing years ago and I was not impressed. I was like,
This one.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't get what the deal is. And I don't know.
So is this like your second viewing?
It's like my second or third probably.
Wow.
Honestly, upon viewing it this time, like there are so many scenes that I don't remember at all.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember the beginning at all with the dog.
I've seen this.
I don't remember them ever finding a UFO. Like I thought maybe that I might have thought that was like just another research station. I didn't realize it was an actual UFO.
And again, just complete stoicism. Like, no one's surprised by these things. They're just
Right.
like, oh yeah, another alien UFO.
And then
I'm going to handle it like a man.
And then the last one that I didn't get was when Wilford Brimley's character Blair like makes the tunnel and is creating another UFO.
Yet another criticism that I have
I
of this
don't
movie.
remember
How the fuck did he
that
do
at
that?
all.
There's a lot of willing suspense. Like, there's a lot of being... Okay, this movie is meant for... This is a first viewing movie that just happens to be fucking spectacular on second, third, fourth, fifth
Right.
viewing.
It's true. It really is.
It is. This is a movie that is supposed to grab you by the hand and then just run real fast down the hall,
Right.
and you're like, don't pay attention to that. What's that? Oh shit! Oh, it's kind of like The Shining, where it's like, oh god, well, there's a fucking dog sucking a guy off in that room. It's like, just keep running, and so you're not supposed to ask a lot of questions. It's just like, if you start getting too deep into it, you're gonna have too many questions. How can Wilford Brimley burrow way deep down in the tunnel and create a UFO in 4 hours? I don't know.
Well,
I
it was
mean,
actually
night is really long there. I don't know.
just the tunnel alone, like in the cavern that he
Right.
builds. Like what? Not to mention the fact that he builds a fucking UFO down there.
Well, I mean, if you know that he's a thing, it's like he can turn into like a bulldozer monster.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So actually, that is a good point, and I am willing to forgive the movie on some of these things because it's not really clear who is the thing when.
Right.
Yeah.
And on this viewing, I actually considered, because I had a lot of these questions last weekend when I watched it, and again, it's a great movie to watch on repeat viewings because you see like immediately a guy gets licked by the dog within like the first 5 minutes of the movie, and you're like, oh
Right.
fuck, that's the first one maybe, and so you kind of have all these questions. I would love to spend an afternoon just like pausing and mapping it out and building the Venn diagram of who I think is connected at what point.
I mean, there's a lot of ambiguity. I think it purposefully leaves that open. you
yeah.
know?
But it's great because I think you could maybe try to piece it together, and I'd love to see what somebody's come up with.
The
on
only time when there's actually certainty is when they do the burning wire test.
the Bernie Wire test.
Yes, but then it's also genius how John Carpenter sets this whole thing up. Getting back to the Norwegians, it's diabolical how this is set up. Like, you know, you see a dog running for its life. You're like, oh, good boy. And
You
then
want
you
me
see
to replace the villain with a dog? I mean, nobody will know what's going on.
They will if you set up that the dog is evil. All you have to do is show him doing this. And people will suspect the dog.
Yeah, and
It's true.
And you're like, what are they doing trying to shoot that good boy? And then you're like, why don't they just hold the helicopter still for a second? And the movie's like, shut up, just run with me. And so the whole time you're like, oh, good old Americans saving the dog. You know, like that's how you feel on first viewing of this. You're like, oh, they're trying to. Maybe they're the thing. Are they the thing? They're trying to shoot their dog. Like that's an evil thing to do. And then it's very subversive. Like the whole time you're kind of like, what's actually happening? And I love that there are no strong answers.
Yeah, it's really good.
I gotta say that dog is a really good actor.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
It's one of the best actors in the movie.
That dog is so off-putting. Like the way he has that super intense stare, and he just walks very mechanically into the room with the other dogs into like the dog pen, where he's like,
that scene is really great, isn't it?
Whew.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're all sort of eyeing him like, who's this guy? And it's a great way to set up the fact that, like, okay, clearly the imitation is good enough to fool the dogs initially, but they're all kind of looking at him, and then they all sort of like slowly realize something's off.
Yeah, and they spread.
And they sort of, and they're kind of like, and then they
sides.
start growling a little bit. I mean, it's a great way to sort of like explain that, you know, it is an imitation, but it's not perfect yet, right? It takes time to build that.
Right. So, my other main beef about this movie is Kurt Russell's hat. Seems like the least convenient hat to have in Antarctica. It's the least believable thing about this movie.
When he even wears it, half the time he's not even wearing it.
Right.
He's like outside and
it's like, you know what you want in like freezing cold, like 40-mile-per-hour wind? A real floppy hat.
And his ears are never red when he's not wearing it. His ears are never red. Blows my fucking mind. But he has long hair, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, so he's got this super floppy hat, and it's like a sun hat, but the sun reflects off the snow. It's not going to do shit. I'm just saying.
Okay, so I gotta say, on that Facebook group we were talking about earlier, I asked a question a day or two ago. Most hunky dude in all of horror, and my suggestion.
Is Kurt Russell going to be on there?
My suggestion was Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, but a lot of ladies said Kurt Russell in The Thing. And
I can see that.
Yeah, you know, there was some honorable mention. A lot of people also mentioned the cop from The Invisible Man 2020.
Oh yeah,
with his nice booty
and
his.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know who I'm talking about. He knows. A lot of people. I got into an argument about whether or not Jason Bateman was in a horror movie. I say he was in The Gift. And other people are saying The Gift is not a horror movie, it's a thriller. And they're wrong. Those are the same thing.
So, okay, I have to tell you, another thing that I noticed in this movie that, like, I had a sudden realization.
Kurt Russell's bulge.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Last thing about Kurt Russell, like, those costumes were great. Like, every single like costume and like appearance change of Kurt Russell looks great.
This is a very men are men
very much
setting where it's like
stoic.
Dudes drink constantly, never show 1 ounce of inebriation.
Right.
They're smoking pot.
There's one tear. Kurt Russell sheds 1 tear in the entire movie, and they barely show it, and that's it. That's how he deals with this trauma.
Right.
I've seen some goddamn shit.
The one thing that hopped out at me and that I realized, like, this is a trope, and it begs a compilation, is low effort 80s computer exposition.
I fucking wrote some shit down for this too. I'm so ready for this.
It's like
it's one of my favorite parts.
It's like you show a computer screen, and it just sends out the text like, "The cell is an imitation now."
Looks
like, and then they type in, who is an alien?
Right.
Chance of other crew being an
No,
alien?
I wrote this part down.
Here we go.
Probability that one or more team members may be infected by intruder organism, 75%. Like, what?
Yeah.
Who fucking programmed that?
Right.
Was that like a written response? Like, did
This
he
was
write out that
so
response?
far before people understood computers in any way, shape, or form. You could get away with literally anything. The computer could have had a fleshlight in it, and people would have been like, "Wow, I didn't know you could fuck computers." But okay.
Can you imagine being the developer that was contracted to write that program? You're like, okay, just like here's an output. Wait, probability that one or more team members may be infected by intruder, or like, am I gonna die? Like, should I be worried? Where is this?
Sure, I'm glad this team's going to Antarctica.
Yeah. Where are you installing the software? Antarctica? Okay, good. Like, let's just, I'll never go there, I guess.
If you've ever played any kind of 80s text adventure computer games, you know the limitations. Like, 99.9999% of anything you type in is like,
what?
That command's unknown. It could be anything.
Did you mean diphtheria? Because you're going to die of malaria.
So that, I mean, think of all the movies that do that. Like Alien does that. They have a low effort computer exposition thing where they're like, type in, why is an alien here? It's like, well, alien dangerous. I don't know.
I mean, they were doing that stuff well into the 2000s.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they still use it, but that's like in the 80s. There's a certain aspect of just the text output.
Right. It's very specific.
You know.
Yeah.
I was curious though. 75% is an interesting number to output there because the animation clearly shows an alien cell completely taking over the organism. So like, man, to me the probability that everyone is, would be a bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I was thinking maybe that's like a director's clue, like that at that point in the movie 75% of the crew are taken. And I thought maybe that could be a fun way to like, if you
had this been a Stanley Kubrick movie, you'd be dead on the money. Dead on the money.
It just seems like such a specific number and a very specific statement.
Yeah, I don't think.
You don't think John Carpenter was thinking that?
I don't think it's John Carpenter's deal.
I think he's
like, I don't care what the fucking number is. Is it scary? Like, make it fucking scary. Like, that's the thing.
Again, another reason that this reminded me of Alien, other than the computer exposition, is just the character development. It's really just like, this is a group of men. Moving on.
Yeah, the development's bad, but the introduction is one of my favorite parts of the movie. Like they take the time. Yeah.
They do have personality, but there's no.
But the first 30 minutes
like
is really just like introducing each character, and I didn't realize that in the. Ooh, actually, I have a trivia question for later, so I don't know if I'm gonna spoil this right now. But like,
no, go ahead.
I'll wait. But I do love the way they introduce every character in the movie. Like everyone kind of gets their own shot, right?
Yeah.
In the start.
Yeah, and true to form, Carpenter kind of is a trope breaker, and like one of the only two survivors of them, one of them's black, which is. That goes against the...
you assume they're a survivor.
Oh, shit. Maybe he's not really...
So in the 80s, I actually don't really... Like, I know that that's supposed to be a trope, like the black guy always dies first in the 80s movies or 90s or... Like, when did that start and when did it stop? Like, where did
I think Return of the Living Dead is probably like the touchstone for it.
Was that 50s or 60s?
That was the 60s.
I mean, that's where it was really like...
But
I don't know. He was the last one to die.
Right,
And
Romero was a similar thing. He would often have the black guy be the last person, or the main character.
Yeah, I mean it's been around for a while. I mean, I don't know if you know that much about America, but we don't have a great track record with like.
Wait, do tell.
Appreciating the lives of black people.
Whoa, hot take. Okay, hot takes here on Horror Movie Talk. Look at you.
So you're saying
Elizabeth asked us not to be political.
So you're saying that the trope started in the 60s, but it was immediately broken?
No, I think the trope started probably in the 1800s. I mean,
even I have my limits.
I don't know if I'm supposed to laugh. What do I do with my hands? Okay, so the point though is the token, like they have token characters in the film in The Thing, the 80s version of The Thing, and they may or may not off them immediately.
Right.
It's very unclear.
Right. There's a couple tests that they have throughout the movie to try to see who the alien is. They mention a blood serum test, which is in the novella, but I don't think they ever actually do it because the blood supply is destroyed.
It's sabotaged.
They go through a lot of like lengths to describe that in the novella of like, you know, if we introduce these cells, it'll do this, and we'll know if it's human or not. And then when they do the test, there's so much uncertainty because of who did the test. They're like, well, it could be either one of them.
That's fair.
So, but then the final, like the actual test is the, you know, the burnt wire into the petri dish of blood, and they explain that, and I'm not sure I caught it the first viewing, but they basically explain it as any part of the thing becomes its own entity and has like a desire to save itself.
I have some problems with this because it like whenever they torch the thing, if that's true, I would expect it to split apart into a million pieces and all run away independently of each other. Right, but every time they torch one of the things, it just accepts it and burns.
Well, yeah, I mean, when in the scene where they torch, what's his name, where his head like oozes off and crawls off,
right?
Yeah, like, it doesn't seem like
kidding me.
So awesome.
I mean, I guess that's the question about like, okay, what are the rules for the thing? Because it can spontaneously entirely open its body cavity into a jaw to consume someone, but it can't really just, remove his head to walk away. It needs some time for that.
That scene has such amazing comedic timing too, because like he looks over his shoulder and the thing like stops, and then he's like, what does he say?
You got it.
And then he fucking like blows it away with the torch. Like that was brilliant. Like if it was really a horror movie, the head should have kept crawling away, right? But it like stops when he notices it. That's so great. I love that scene.
If I don't move, he won't see me.
It's just a head with spider legs. Like what?
And little eye stalks. I also love the answer to almost all problems in this movie is get the flamethrower. Is first of all, we're in an Antarctic research facility and flamethrower.
Right.
Not just like, we're not talking like a little burn thrower, something to just get things started. We're talking a backpack flamethrower.
See, that actually makes sense to me though, because they probably melt a lot of ice on a regular basis. They probably have to like thaw large swaths of things.
Flamethrowers?
Fucking dropping knowledge on me over
Well, I
here.
mean, like, I don't know if you've, like, I've seen in, like, the Southwest, they just use, like, flamethrowers or big, like, basically flamethrowers to, like, weed. They just torch the weeds on the ground in between the cracks of the pavement. Because, like, it's easy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I could imagine that we got to thaw out, like, an entire...
all those dandelions in Antarctica.
Right.
Like, God damn it.
Well, no, you got...
They just keep popping up.
Those fucking weeds.
They grow in the cement.
There's a couple moments that are like direct homages to the 51 film.
Oh, really?
Number one is the title appearance, like when the first
credit
appearance of the thing,
the spaceship
title. Where it burns through and the letters reveal.
Yeah.
That's straight. That's exactly like the 50s version.
I really like that opening.
Even the font.
It's a really great opening.
And then the other one is when Palmer's on flames and runs out of the building. That's a direct homage to the 51 film. That's like one of the only action sequences, or there's only like 2 appearances of the thing in the 51 version, and one he's on fire and just like runs through the building and outside into the snow and disappears.
I have a fun little note, fun little thing to interject about the flamethrowers. That first flamethrower scene when they nuke the dog like in the kennel. So last weekend when I was watching it, I was like, man, it kind of looks like it sort of cuts back. I think it's Childs who's nuking it. It cuts over kind of behind his back. It's like this bright flare up of light. You can't really see what's going on. But I was like, man, it kind of looks like there's nothing there in the kennel. And so this time I paused it at that scene, and yeah, there's nothing in that room. He's just like nuking a wall. Like he just like fucking like torches a wall like the actor. There's just like literally nothing in that kennel. Like they don't even try to hide it.
Well, that's 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 one of those things where it's like, how are people gonna what was this, 82 or was it 80?
Yeah.
82.
How are they going to rewatch this bullshit? It's like, whoa, they're going to go frame by frame.
Right. Yeah.
And as it turns out,
you're like, yep.
40 years later, it's like, beep, beep,
remember,
beep, beep.
Remember frame by frame with VHS tapes where you could do the slow-mo, but you'd have like 80% of the screen, like the white static lines.
Yeah, you can like barely see what was going on.
It's not a one-to-one thing. Like you have to just.
It's much easier now. And if I'm wrong, don't at me because I don't have whatever account that is.
Okay, this is where I have the biggest beef with this movie. Is the ending makes no sense whatsoever. Like it doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like they have all this knowledge and they realize like what's going on. They have a test to see who's the thing or not.
Right? Why not? Just
and then they just decide like, well, we can't let it freeze because if it freezes, people will find it. And I'm like,
let's freeze to death.
What?
Let's agree to freeze to death.
It's like, we can't just freeze to death and let it freeze. Like, okay. Like, why don't you, survive and let it freeze, and then you can go get it and kill it? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me to where they're like, okay, well, we just got to blow up everything.
Yeah, I think they're all pretty tilted and fried by this point. Like nobody's slept in like a month. Everyone's just been super on edge and freaking out for like a month straight.
It's like all of a sudden they just decide like, well, we got to give up now. We might as well just commit suicide and destroy it with us, even though we can't see where it is.
With complete stoicism too. Like nobody bats an eye. Like, well, I guess we'll just all kill each other or whatever.
And then also while executing this plan, they decide this is the perfect time to split off.
Of course.
Individually.
Of course.
Like, okay, let's do it all alone. Let's split out in 3 ways and then regroup.
Well, without it, you wouldn't have a movie.
I mean, you can have the appearance of the monster and have like a final stand kind of thing.
To be fair though, McCready doesn't really like work with other people super well. He's kind of like a lone wolf. So they were together and then he kind of like is off doing his own thing and then everyone else dies.
And there are so many elements of things that work so well. Like they take hope away from you just continuously.
Mm-hmm. Right.
How Doc went through the helicopter and he just tore it apart. McCready goes in there and he's like, I can't. Now we can't get out of here. We can't get out of here, which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. It's good for humanity.
Right.
And then there's a foreboding implication. I love how the movie starts, which is the spacecraft crashing on Earth, right? You see it, and then how about midway through the movie they discover that the Norwegians have found this spacecraft buried deep within the ice, and he's like, this thing could have been here for 100,000 years. That's how this ice looks to me. Like this is incredibly old. Mm-hmm. And so the implications for how long this thing can last is just like, there's no hope. Eventually, this is going to hit us. Like somehow it'll get thawed out and it's coming. He coming.
The 51 film is the origin of like, keep looking to the skies. Like that's how that movie ends is, look to the skies. And so that's like a joke now for, sci-fi movies or stuff that are trying to imitate like those 50s movies. So yeah, that is the takeaway. That's like, well, you don't really know if they killed it or not. And, with this film, there's 2 left and there's a question of, who's who. The other thing is like that I liked is when they're doing the test, the humans are really relieved to realize that they're humans, which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It's like they'd have like the needle go in, they'd be like, oh God, good, I'm human. It's like, well, wouldn't
does
you know?
beg a question on how long the transformation takes place. The non-gory ones, the apparently ones that don't need to be gory, even though sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't.
And then it's a question of, do you know that you're the thing or not?
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, you gotta put yourself into the into the psyche of someone who's seen some fucking shit, right? Like, oh my fucking god, the dog's got like cords whipping around and is shooting the other dogs with goop, like, and we lit it on fire. Like, there's so much there that you don't know, that you're realizing, like, oh, this is something so fucking fucked up. I have no idea what's going on. Mm-hmm. Thank God I'm still okay. Like, there's got to be an element of just, and then the way it makes everybody turn on each other. It just must be relieving to just feel like, oh, okay, I'm vindicated. Look, everyone around feels good about me now. Right. Like, this is okay.
Yeah. I think like the source material and like pretty much everything ends on the same kind of note of like, it's pretty hopeless and we don't know whether it's actually dead or not.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a great way to end the movie. And that's really the reason why they did kind of a illogical ending of splitting up and torching everything. It's to have that ending of like, well, it's hopeless and we're sitting here and we're going to probably freeze to death.
That scene, not in the very end where it's Kurt Russell and Childs, but the like right before that where Kurt Russell kind of has the final showdown with the big bad. That scene, they're like, the lighting is like, they're kind of underground.
Yeah, and they got the flare lighting.
Yeah, the flare lighting. Dude, that is like my favorite part of the movie. Like, this is one of those movies that just gets better as the movie goes. And that scene is just this perfect culmination for me. Mm-hmm. I just love the way that's shot. What is with all the furniture stacked in that scene? Did you guys notice that? When they're in the cavern and he's sort of like, the monster like takes something, Kurt Russell's like doing the dynamite or something, and the other guy gets killed, super quietly, and then Kurt Russell he's like, what's going on? He's like slowly walking underground in the cavern, and if you look in that scene, beautifully shot, beautifully lit, but it's just all the stacked wooden furniture that's like a layer of frost is covering it, and I'm just like, what is all that furniture doing down there?
Let's go back earlier in the conversation. Remember how, like, when you first moved out of your parents' house and you had the box spring, and then 4 years later, there's just too much shit. You just gotta hollow out a snow cave just to fucking put all your goddamn chairs.
So what was that snow cave too? Like, was that under the facility?
That was their storage snow cave.
No, I think, yeah. Oh yeah, that wasn't where Wilford Brimley was creating the.
No, this was a separate snow cave.
It was a separate cavern.
There was like a generator down there, right?
Or
something that somebody sabotaged. So many things were sabotaged.
Yeah. It's a great idea to put, the source of all your electricity underground under a meltable, walls. Anyway, so that's the thing. What's your final recommendations for this movie? I mean, I think everyone. If they haven't seen this, they should see it.
I didn't tell my story. I'm going to tell my story. So two nights ago now, I was sat down to watch this. It was about 9 p.m. My wife was there with me. She's like, I think I'm going to go to bed. I'm tired. And I'm watching this and I'm feeling pretty tense. I'm like, wow, this movie is incredibly scary. I didn't remember it being this scary, and every time it hits so hard. I look to my right out our window that looks east, out of our walkout door, our pane glass door, and I see fire falling from the sky.
What?
I see fucking fire coming vertically down out of the sky, and it looks like it's landing 10 houses down. And it takes up a good 6 inches of my view of the window. It's substantial. And it's like, what the fuck? And like, I know as soon as I see it, I'm like, God damn it, she's not going to believe anything that I'm going to say right now. But I'm like, I'm so keyed up at night anyway. I hear
the sky is falling.
I say, Carrie, there's fire falling out of the sky right now. I have to go outside. I walk outside as the movie's playing. I'm like, what the shit is that? And it's gone by the time she looks. And now I'm just like beside myself. I was like, what the hell was that? What was that? It looked like it was just beyond a tree. It looked so close. I'm freaking out. Carrie's like, okay, I'm just going to stay here. You need somebody to be with you. So thinking I'm crazy or something like that. I'm getting sweaty thinking about this. So finally the movie gets done. I'm like, wow, what the fuck was that? The next morning I learned, like they think it's the Falcon 9, SpaceX Falcon 9 burn up in re-entry. Like a bunch of people fucking saw this.
Damn, you didn't know? You didn't find out until the next day? You just like, this was like in your mind the whole like,
Yes.
oh fuck, are we gonna die?
Yes.
God, we're gonna die.
But you don't understand. This is so much of my life. Is like I have to accept this level of shit all the time.
Right.
I hear a car door close 20 times, and I'm like, who's getting in and out of their car 20 times? Are we being cased? Like, what's happening? And so it's all unbelievable.
I'm just gonna go sit out in front of David's house one day, just like right behind the fence where he can't see, and just like.
To be fair, a car door opening and closing 20 times is kind of ominous. Like, I would be a little concerned too.
I don't know. Like, I think there's just people that don't realize like how many times they're opening and closing their car door. They're like, I got to take the groceries in. All right, one bag at a time. Got to carry this watermelon all alone. Ka-chunk, ka-chunk. It's like, yeah, there's sometimes where you just hear specifically car doors. You're like, who the fuck is going in and out of that fucking car 20 times tonight?
And you live in the city, Justin. Like, you grew up rural like me. Do you hear
I'm the same way. I'm the same exact way.
I hear everything.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if somebody beeps their car to lock it or whatever the sound is. I'm like, what are you doing? Who's out there? It's like 7 o'clock. People are just like coming and going in my building complex, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Your kids are walking up the stairs at 7 o'clock at night? Not allowed. Not allowed. Not in my watch.
I'm just a happy camper. Rocking and a rolling.
So this is an undeniable movie. You must. This is the most important movie you can watch.
It's pretty great. Yeah. And all those criticisms, I mean, I should just say, like, I love this movie. It should really go to show you watching it back to back. I mean, and I loved it, right?
Both times.
Yeah,
it's pretty great.
You want me to replace the villain with a dog? I mean, nobody will know what's going on.
They will if you set up that the dog is evil. All you have to do is show him doing this. And people will suspect the dog.
Okay, so moving on, let's go to our first game of the day. Don't blank on the blank. Okay, so let me explain this game a little bit.
Okay, is this me versus Justin?
It's you versus Justin. Okay, so there are about 1 million horror movies that are 2 words that are the
thing.
Something.
Yeah.
The thing.
Okay.
The Shining.
The gift. The invitation.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to read you.
Can I use those?
No.
I'm going to read you a description of a movie, and you have to decide which movie it is. It's easy. I've given you half of it already.
Oh, nice.
Each one of them starts out with the, and there's only one more word.
And there's one more word. Okay.
So I've got a bunch. We'll see how fast it goes.
Okay.
I've got 10.
Don't blank on the
Don't blank on the blank. Okay. So since Justin's the guest, I'll let him go first each time.
That's so nice.
That's
I'm going to be the worst.
That's a good plan. Good plan.
No, we'll switch off, I guess.
Are they all horror movies?
They are all horror movies.
I'm going to fail this. But it'll be fun to watch me fail.
Okay. First up. A study in fear escalates into a heart-stopping nightmare for a professor and 3 subjects trapped in a mysterious mansion.
Ooh. Okay.
Good.
And it's just one more word?
Mm-hmm. The blank.
The Study.
I think this is The Haunting.
That would make more sense.
David is correct. This is The Haunting from
studies aren't very scary.
1999.
Well, 99, but also there's one in the 60s.
Yeah, this one's the Liam Neeson one.
Yeah, and it's got that hottie in it.
I thought that was the House on Haunted Hill. Is that a different thing?
No.
It's a different thing. Oh, yeah, no, actually that may be the one from the 50s or the 60s that I'm thinking of.
Okay, next one. A comic book artist loses his hand, which in turn takes on a murderous life of its own.
That sounds awesome. I want to watch whatever this is, but I don't know. But I'm going to guess. The Hand.
Can you explain? Can you say that one more time?
A comic book artist loses his hand, and which in turn takes on a murderous life of its own.
Boy, I'm gonna get in trouble. I don't remember what this is. A comic book artist loses his hand.
What year?
1981.
Oh, I was gonna say Creep Show, but that's 89.
No, it's the Creep Show.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, you give up?
Yeah.
Justin is correct. It's The Hand.
Yes!
What the fuck?
I'm just going to say the and then whatever the word is
Right.
that he says next.
Okay.
That's my game plan.
We're tied.
Two lighthouse keepers try to maintain their sanity
I know
while
this
living
one.
on a remote and mysterious New England island in the 1890s.
And the best part is this goes in line with the strategy I just said. I'm going to say the and then the word that he says next, which is the lighthouse.
I'm also going to adopt this strategy and say The Lighthouse because
Okay.
I've seen this.
I actually haven't seen this. This is supposed to be really good, right? And
Willem
Robert
Dafoe
Pattinson.
and Pattinson.
Yeah.
Pat, you will be blown away by Pattinson.
I've been following it. I've been following Pattinson's career. He's really good.
blown away.
You guys are correct. It's 2019's The Lighthouse.
It's like 19. What?
Okay, next, a mother and daughter must confront a terrifying monster when they break down on a deserted road.
A mother and daughter?
Mm-hmm. This could only describe like 20 movies.
What's the year on this one?
This is 2016.
A mother and daughter confront a monster when they break down?
A terrifying monster.
A terrifying monster. I'm glad that that was specified.
Man, this is tough.
Well, if I was going in line with my strategy, I would say the terrifying or the monster. But I don't think that's correct in this specific scenario.
You're going with it.
We only accept one answer.
Damn it. I was hoping that I would get a reaction out of you, but you've got that Kurt Russell stoicism going on.
I'm Norwegian.
What are you saying? What are you saying the answer is?
Damn it! I'm trying to buy time
I
here,
know.
man. I'm gonna say the terrifying because I have to be in line with my strategy.
I think I'm going to be more in line with your strategy and say The Car. I know it's not because I know what that movie actually is.
Okay. You're both wrong.
Right.
It's The Monster.
Damn it! I should have went with the second one. Is it really the monster?
It's The Monster.
Jesus, man, my strategy is
Yeah,
good.
I see.
We're still tied. I think we
I
got
led
2-2.
you away by emphasizing terrifying.
Yeah, well done,
See,
well done.
You were...
Impressive. Very nice.
Okay, this is from 2018, set in 1825. Claire, a young Irish convict woman, chases a British officer through the rugged Tasmanian wilderness, bent on revenge for a terrible act of violence he committed against her family. On the way, she enlists the services of an Aboriginal tracker named Billy, who is also marked by trauma from his own violence-filled past.
Okay, I'm going to need you to read that again. There's a lot going on here. Wow.
You can hear Meg upstairs. Meg is going to be a feature on this.
Yeah, she's very upset by this.
You want me to replace the villain with a dog?
Do you really want me to read all of it?
I
again?
would. Yeah.
Set in 1825, Claire, a young Irish convict woman, chases a British officer through the rugged Tasmanian wilderness, bent on revenge for a terrible act of violence he committed against her family. On the way, she enlists the services of an Aboriginal tracker named Billy, who is also marked by trauma from his own violence-filled past.
So I'm not a worldly man, and I do not know geography very well. Is Tasmania a place?
It's an island south of Australia.
Okay.
We have a lot of Australian listeners. Also, we have a couple patrons from New Zealand and Australia.
All right, quit stalling.
This is going to be hard because I'm going to have to say like the Tasmanian or the Irish or the young Irish or something or I'm going to go with the terrorizer or the terrorized.
Okay, pick one.
The terror. I'm going to go with the terror.
I'm going to say the Aborigine.
Damn it, that's a good one.
Both wrong. This is the Nightingale.
Okay. Well, you know what?
This is actually the second movie by the director that did The Babadook.
Tell well, you know.
Okay, this one might be a little easier. A 12-year-old cold case is reopened when 3 teens are missing in an old abandoned road where a gruesome murder is left undiscovered for 3 decades.
Jesus.
Wow.
This is so hard.
Actually, I thought it would be easy, but this is not the movie that I thought it was, so it's not easy. If I had actually read the description before. A 12-year-old cold case is reopened when 3 teens are missing in an old missing in an old abandoned road where gruesome murder is left undiscovered for 3 decades.
Okay, so the teens go missing, and that reopens the case where other people had been missing before?
Yes.
On this abandoned road.
Well, no, the cold case is the 3 missing teens.
Oh. So how does it get reopened?
I don't know.
I think I know.
No,
this.
it is when. Yeah, sorry, you're right.
Oh.
Your original thing was right. It's reopened when 3 teens go missing.
All right, I'm going to say The Missing.
I think this is The Stand. Is this The Stand?
You're both wrong. This is The Road.
God damn it.
I should have went to I even thought about
With Viggo Mortensen?
Wait a second.
Is it?
No, that can't be. That's a post-apocalyptic whatever story.
Yeah. It's called The Road.
That's what
but it's not the same movie. I thought it was the Viggo Mortensen one, but it wasn't. Okay. This one should be easier.
We're still tied 2-2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 siblings become increasingly frightened when their grandparents' disturbing behavior while visiting them on vacation.
This is the Shyamalan one,
yeah.
right? Was it The Visit? I haven't seen this one either, but I think it was The Visit.
David?
Oh, this is driving me bonkers. I think it's The Visitors.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Justin is right. It's The Visit.
The Visit.
Okay. God damn it. By the way, anybody who hasn't seen The Visit needs to see that movie.
Yeah, I remember you recommended
This is one of these movies that you don't expect, and it's legit scary, in my opinion. Like, have you seen this, Bryce?
Have you guys not done a horror movie one on that? Or a podcast?
No, we have not done
No.
a podcast on that.
I don't think we've done any Shyamalan.
No
movies.
Shamadong.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, you got 3 more to pull it out, David.
Oh, baby.
Okay, after a strange and insecure plane crash, an unusual toxic...
An insecure plane
Yeah, it's
crash?
an insecure plane. An unusual toxic virus enters a quaint farming town. A young couple are quarantined, but they fight for survival along with the help from a couple of people.
I think I know what this is.
What is the insecure plane thing about?
I don't know. After a strange and insecure plane crash.
That poor
Most plane crashes are very secure. They're just locked up.
I would be insecure too if I was that plane. The crash.
Pretty close, I gotta say. I think it even has the same number of letters. I think this is The Crazies.
Ooh.
You're correct.
Tied it back up, baby.
Nice.
Okay. A deadly entity from space crashes near a small town and starts to consume anyone in its path. Panic ensues. A shady government scientist tries to contain the horrific creature.
Wait, I think this is the Blob. Is this the Blob?
I was gonna say this is the Blob.
You're both correct. It's the Blob.
Yes.
Last one to see if one of you wins.
Up.
Also haven't seen the Blob. How many Blobs are there?
2. This one's from 88.
No, I think there's a newish one.
What about Blubber? Does that count? Is the
Blubber?
Is that canon?
Okay, last one. A group of 5 college students are forced to match wits with unwelcoming residents when they fly to a deserted, quote-unquote, island for a party weekend. This is from 2006. A group of 5 college kids are forced to match wits with unwelcoming residents when they fly to a deserted island for a party weekend.
Okay.
It's not actually deserted. That's what the quotation means.
That seems mistakenly... Yeah, okay. Wow, I have no idea, but I'm shit. I want to say the island, but I know that seems like that's not going to be right. I'm going to say the island.
Comes down to this, David.
I really would have liked to say the island, to be honest with you. But in the interest of you only have 10 here, right? There's no tiebreaker. So I'm gonna go for something different.
Playing for keeps.
And I know this is not real because it's not an island. But just for the sake of keeping it not tied,
I appreciate that.
I'm gonna say the ruins.
Ooh. Both of you are wrong. It's a tie game.
Oh.
That was The Breed.
Okay.
Why not? 2006.
Sure. Sounds
right.
interesting.
That was Don't Blank on the Blank. Next,
Well played. GG's.
GG.
Let's check our voicemail. We all got a voicemail. And 2 voicemails. This should be quick. This one is from Elizabeth.
Hey guys, it's Elizabeth. Just calling in response to Rojo's lovely voicemail that he left me. Hey, no hard feelings, man. We all lose in life. So sometimes, somebody does something better and, that's okay. We're all adults. We accept that we can't be 100% all the time. So, we're all allowed to have opinions, just like how Bryce thinks Host is a 9 out of 10 for some reason, and David and I think Host is a dumpster fire. But, that's okay. We're all adults. We can all have opinions, laugh about it, have a good time. Also, no sex joke in this. Sorry, I am definitely not one to make those kind of comments. You'll probably never get one out of me. That's what she said, except for that, because The Office, but that's about it. So, okay, bye.
Yeah, Elizabeth is one of the few regular callers that doesn't have, sex exploits as the main topic of conversation. She actually has, topical things about horror movies.
She helped me last week playing a game. I forget which. Oh, she played with me and Dustin. We were playing the scary Phantasmic game. What the fuck is it called? Do you know this game?
Phantasmagoric or something like that? Phantasmagoria?
Yeah, Dr. Phantasma's Wonder Emporium. and you shine a flashlight and you got to figure out what kind of ghost is haunting the place. And it's just me
flailing about.
Just shuffling behind Dustin.
It's one of those
and Elizabeth.
things, I really had sympathy for you because it's that experience of playing a game with people that have played it 1 billion times before,
and they're like,
and you're like, I have. When
you
have
take
no
the
idea,
salt, put it on the ground. No, not that way. Light it on fire. And I'm like, we light the salt, and they're like, you just got it purifies the air.
And you're like, what's going on? What happened? What are you? And they're like, we just won. Like what? Huh?
But I didn't get to see the ghost. Yeah, you don't want to see the ghost. It's scary. It's like, yeah, it sounds scary. But she did a thing to Rojo there. She's like, kind of like, hey, fuck you, Rojo. She played that. She did that card where you're like, we're all imperfect, specifically you.
We all have our opinions. Some of them are wrong.
What did he say?
Oh, he called her a stupid bitch.
Wow, that sounds. Wow, yeah.
No, yeah, but then he called back and he apologized.
Oh,
right.
Do we have a call from Rojo as well?
Unless it's this one.
Let's see here.
Oh my God, what if it
it's
is?
It's either Rojo or Bugsy Eyes, my bet.
All right, boys, it's your largest fan.
Oh, it's big.
Wow. You know what? I'm going to keep rolling with it. It's your largest fan, Biggin here. And I'm listening to your Hell House LLC review, and I got to say, I'm kind of hot and bothered about some topics here. So I'm going to spread some knowledge. So firstly, the pagan symbol that is Christianity has corrupted and used for the sign of Satan is actually a rune of safety and protection, according to pagan rites and rituals. Christianity just said, no, we don't want that. We want that to be a bad thing. And so they made it the sign of Satan. The other thing that's got me hot and uptight is the reason why Mormons don't use the cross is because the cross is a sign of Christianity, because that's what Jesus was, killed on. And if you don't believe that Jesus is the prophet or the way to God, then you don't use the cross. So when you go to a Mormon church, that's why there's no crosses there. Now, we can have another debate about why the hell Jesus is in red hair at Mormon churches and very white, pale skin, but I want Bryce to divulge that because I think it'll be more fun. Anyways, this is your fucked up voicemail left again by Bigot, so I love you, and I will motorboat both of you the next time I see you. Okay, bye.
One of our oldest patrons, maybe the oldest patron we have, Biggin, buddy of both Justin and myself and Bryce. So we all know this large man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do know a lot about Mormon religion because I was that and taught it for, 30-something years of my life.
Yeah.
So,
well, Did you know?
My original explanation
Did you know the knowledge he had dropped on you just now? Did you know all that?
Mormons consider themselves Christian, and they do believe that Jesus
Don't dodge the question.
Jesus is the only way. Like, there's a lot of distractions from that, but that is the core theology of it. So it's not that we don't believe Jesus is the Son of God, which they do. I don't know why I'm saying we. But no, it's more of like that is kind of similar to attitudes about graven images of like, why are you glorifying the execution method of your Savior?
This is the thing that I've always had a problem with the cross, which is God was pretty specific. He made 1 out of 10, only 10 commandments that he gave was like, hey, don't make any graven images.
Right.
And then what do? They're like, put the cross up. Put it up. Erect a giant cross. This is the thing our God died on.
It's like
He died on it.
It's like, what if it's like Satan's plan to give like Jesus at the second coming like a nervous breakdown? It's like, he's just like, oh myself.
Oh myself.
He's like, what?
You're gonna Satan's talking to Jesus. He's like, you're gonna love what I've done with your place. Check this out. I dare you to find one of your places without one of these in it. They all got them. It's on the Bible.
Just instantly like post-traumatic stress disorder when Jesus comes in his second coming.
Do you remember this? You remember when we did that to you? It was pretty great, huh?
The not using the cross. It's just one of those things. It's like kind of it's like Baptists not being able to dance, and you can't really say why that became a thing, but it just is. It's a feature.
It's a feature.
As far as like Jesus having red hair, I don't think it's red hair. I mean, it's your generic like Superman white Jesus of like, hey, super buff white man, long-haired Jesus.
6-pack.
Yeah.
Gutters.
Yeah.
Did you watch that episode yet?
No.
Oh, man, you got to watch that episode.
But the other thing he mentions is that Christianity perverted the pagan symbol for
I didn't realize
safety.
that Biggins was like such a pagan expert.
Satan.
You know, the
pentagram.
The
That's what he's talking
pentagram.
about.
Oh, is that a symbol for Satan?
Yeah.
Technically.
I didn't know that.
I don't know.
It's hard to say. I mean,
girlfriend ain't had periods since she got pre-gat.
There's a lot of mysteries out there.
So, Biggin, I'm sorry, we love you, but when it comes to Mormon theology, I think I'm the expert.
Ooh. Called out.
I'm sorry.
I can't wait for next week's slapback.
You got them all hot and bothered.
I mean, I can get back. I bet Max could back me up.
Max?
I think he's Mormon.
Oh, Max Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Max is the hoe. Max Allen is the hoe. that was right. I can't get it out of my.
And that's it for voicemail this week.
Cool.
We've been keeping up on voicemail. So again, thank you to all our listeners. Let's mention all our recent patrons again at the bottom.
Yeah, man. So let me pull up our most recent patrons. We would like to thank again for this week. Jay Deasy, Anita P, Jordan W, Ryan C, Sam L, Shannon M, and Clyde M. We're up to 81 patrons. We do have a goal of 100 patrons. Ooh. Once we get there, then we will do a Riff Tracks style commentary track for the horror movie of our choice, and we'll release it in addition to our normal episodes. So, hop on over to our Patreon, help us become the biggest horror movie review podcast on the planet Earth. And keep on watching the skis.
And you know how you get us to be the largest horror podcast? Let's just say podcast.
Podcast.
Fuck Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Oh.
The way we're going to do it is if you share the podcast with a friend. So please tell people that you love about the podcast because they'll love you more. Again, lots of different ways you can support the show. I'm not going to say all of them again, but the easiest way to get to them is going to horrormovietalk.com.
Support our sponsors.
Support our sponsors, Night Channels and Manscaped. You know, when you use code HMT, just use code HMT wherever you go. You never know.
Yeah,
we
just
might
throw
have
it in there. You throw it into Shudder, you get a free 30-day trial.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Special thanks to Justin for showing up and analyzing the thing with us.
Keep your penis clean. You guys have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Bye-bye now.
Looking for a podcast full of burps and gas, perverted cast, skinny and fat? Look no further. Horror Movie Talk is accidentally funny, begs to donate money, fake sponsors for dummies, and so much more. New episodes every hump day. They'll pickle your dickle for foreplay. Patreon members have it your way. Vote for a movie every month for the review. Choppa choppa, don't just stare at it, eat it like a taco. Put your tongue through the phone, hoodie, Picasso. Look at them hot kids, swear not a pedo. Got me too'd with Cosby eating jello. Pudding Pops done gave Bryce flatulence. Drain addict Dave doesn't give a shit. 1 through 10, is it horrible or excellent? Oil me up, daddy, is dinner Robinson. Kiss Bryce Hansen. Look at them hot kids, Chris Henson. Masturbate with a crucifix, exorcist. Face huggers, chest bursters, alien. Linda Blair peed on Sigourney Weaver. I know it's true cause it came from social media. Patrick Bateman can't understand you. Stab you to death for rotten apple reviews. Opinionated podcaster with a doctorate. Spookology, doctor of philosophy. Bad gastritis, need colostomy. Turn Patreons into human centipedes. David Doobie Day, scare him, no expert. And Goble fucks hard, professional sexpert. Afterpods, taglines, and porno flicks. American Psycho, them guys pretty sick. Choppa choppa, don't just stare at it, eat it like a taco. Put your tongue through the phone, hoodie, Picasso. Look at them hot kids, swear not a pedo. Got me too'd with Cosby eating jello. Pudding Pops done gave Bryce flatulence. Drain addict Dave doesn't give a shit. 1 through 10, is it horrible or excellent? Oil me up, daddy, is dinner Robinson. Nothing good happens in the woods. Always get more than you bargain for. Got a pickle to dickle, machines tickle bitties. Killer on the phone, ain't no Sharon Stone. Vancouver, Portland, Oregon, and organs. Corona, COVID, curse, Lorona. Green River Killer, because reasons. Hallway of poop monster kids screaming. Ain't your ordinary dingleberry itinerary. 30-day shutter and jump scares, ain't fucking scary. Time for the spoilers with jokes and tropes. Use their white socks to catch their loads. Just show them one titty, pretty. Paganism you should worship, they Teflon dicks. Pacific Northwest, let them see one breast. Shifty eyes stay spooky, poor man's digress. Bugsy, HMT, horror movie talk. Hold on, they don't like Halloween. Fuck them.
You want me to replace the villain with a dog? I mean, nobody will know what's going on.
They will if you set up that the dog is evil. All you have to do is show him doing this. And people will suspect the dog.